What if I told you that the guy in your office who drives a $55,000 truck posts vacation photos from Cancun and fills his Instagram with pictures of fancy dinners is actually just one broken water heater away from bankruptcy? What would you think? And what if I told you that your quiet colleague driving a 5-year-old Camry is quietly and steadily working toward his goal of retiring at 44 with over $5 million in assets? You'd immediately understand why looking rich and being truly wealthy are two completely different games. Once you do the math, you'll never look at those leather seats the same way again. Why does this massive wealth gap exist? The moment someone decides to stop paying for face, what kind of incredible transformation does their wealth undergo? If the stories of those two young people just now felt familiar, or even a little painful to you, then please be sure to subscribe, because today, we're going to break down the mathematical logic, the psychological traps, and that pivotal moment that can completely turn everything around. The core of our discussion today isn't about tightening your belt and living a life of hardship. Instead, we're focusing on a specific type of spending, when you spend money not to improve your quality of life, but to send a signal, "I'm doing great," to people who, statistically speaking, aren't even paying attention to you. But before we dive in, let's debunk 3 financial myths that are keeping you stuck. Does a high income equal high wealth? Wrong. Income is how fast you make money. Wealth is your ability to keep it. If you earn $100,000 and spend $99,000, your real wealth is only $1,000. Does buying expensive things buy you respect? When you drive a $50,000 pickup truck, people aren't respecting you. They're just fantasizing about sitting in it themselves. Is debt normal? Everyone takes out car loans and racks up credit card debt, so you think it's no big deal. But you're mistaking the short-term thrill of debt for your true financial capability. A $2,400 handbag and a $45 canvas tote have exactly the same capacity. A brand new $55,000 pickup truck and a used $15,000 Corolla are equally reliable at getting you safely to work. You go to that upscale restaurant with no price tags not because the steak tastes 12 times better, but because its name sounds like a place people of a certain class would go. Don't feel guilty. This isn't a character flaw. It's an ingrained psychological reflex. Experts estimate that 1/10 of your daily thoughts involve subconsciously comparing yourself to others. When you feel left behind, your brain triggers a response. Spend money. Use visual consumption to bridge the gap and send the signal that I belong to this group. Imagine you're on stage, having spent a fortune to rent the best lighting, suits, and props. You pay hefty monthly subscription fees. But when you step off the stage, you see the audience is filled with cardboard cutouts. You're re-guided by 200,000 years of social survival instincts when it comes to consumption. While modern commercial society spends billions on advertising to ensure you never stop to examine this instinct. Today, we're going to put it under the microscope. Look at the data. The average monthly payment for a new car in the US today is $767. For a pickup truck or SUV, it's $900 to $1,100. 5 years later, that car is worth only 40% of its purchase price. Meanwhile, a 3-year-old Honda Accord costs about $15,000 to $18,000. Modern automotive engineering is mature enough that driving 200,000 miles with proper maintenance is a breeze. The reliability gap between a new car and a 3-year-old car is largely a myth. Paying in cash or with a short-term loan keeps monthly transportation costs between $0 and $300. The difference is $500 to $3,700 per month, and you'll be paying it off for 69 months. But transportation is just the beginning. Another financial black hole, dining out. The average person spends $879 a month on eating out, even more than a car loan. For the first time in history, spending on dining out has surpassed the cost of cooking at home and buying groceries. Of course, there's enjoyment involved, but a significant portion stems from the need for expensive lunches to console oneself after grueling meetings, from visiting trendy restaurants to check in when friends come to town, or from paying $22 for a cocktail that costs less than $2 just because that bar has vintage brick walls. This isn't enjoying life, it's putting on a show. Then there's brand premium. Switching from big-name brands to supermarket private label foods, can easily save you hundreds of dollars a month. Blind taste tests by Consumer Reports prove that more than half the time, people can't tell the difference. And vacation debt. 26% of Americans are carrying credit card debt from trips they've already taken. The tan has faded, but the bills keep bleeding you dry. Add it all up. The new car premium, overspending on dining out, the brand IQ tax, vacation debt, and the extra rent for upscale neighborhoods. A conservative annual estimate of $10,000 to $15,000. This is the status surcharge, the penalty you pay to maintain a false image. Let us crunch some specific numbers. Marcus makes $85,000 a year. Sounds good, right? After taxes and FICA, he takes home $5,200 a month. Watch it evaporate. Pickup truck loan, $867. Insurance, $230. Gas, $280. 17 mpg on the pickup. $1,377 gone before he even had a bite to eat. To live in a neighborhood meant for showing off, rent, $1,450. Utilities and internet, $320. Groceries at a high-end supermarket, $420. Dining out, $750. Various subscriptions, $190. Student loans, $380. Health insurance, $180. Total, $5,067. That leaves him with $133 a month. And that doesn't even include clothes, car repairs, gifts, or late-night impulse buys on Amazon. His credit card, which has a balance of $8,700 and a 21% annual interest rate, requires a minimum monthly payment of $175. Did Marcus go bankrupt? Number. But he is just one unexpected bill away from collapse. If the air conditioner breaks and he can come up with $3,000. If he gets rear-ended and has to use his credit card to cover the deductible. Or if his dog gets sick and he has to take out a loan at 21% interest to pay for treatment. On the surface, he's technically comfortable. Behind the scenes, he's performing confidence while living in extreme panic. Now look at Tyler. He also takes home $5,200. He drives a used Camry with no car loan, pays $110 for insurance, and $140 for gas, 32 miles per gallon. He lives in a safe, clean neighborhood, though not exactly Instagram-worthy, and pays $1,100 in rent. Utilities, $280. Groceries from the supermarket, $320. Dining out for genuine enjoyment, $320. Student loans, $300. Health insurance, $180. Total expenses, $2,810, $2,390 left over each month. Automatically transferred to Vanguard to buy index funds, never touched. Same salary, same city, a $2,390 difference each month. This is the core of the wealth game. Invest that $2,390 in an S&P 500 index fund. Historical average annual return of about 10%, and after 10 years, it becomes $486,000. After 20 years, $1.8 million. And after 30 years, if you re-30 now, by the time you re-60, $5.4 million. This is the difference between a pickup truck and a Camry, between dining out for show and eating a real meal, between a flashy neighborhood and a practical one. What's even more brutal is the rule of financial freedom. Once your investment portfolio reaches 25 times your annual expenses, you'll never have to work for money again. Tyler's annual expenses are $33,720, so his freedom number is $843,000. Calculated with compound interest in about 14 years. When he turns 44, he can declare retirement and tell his boss no, whenever he wants. Marcus spends over $60,000 a year and needs $1.5 million to be free. But because of his pickup truck, lavish lifestyle, and credit card interest, he can barely save anything each month. He isn't moving toward freedom, he's just treading water in the deep end with an expensive watch, trying not to drown. So what do real-life millionaires look like? Thomas Stanley spent decades studying people who actually have seven-figure net worth. Their top 3 favorite car brands, Toyota, Honda, Ford, average car age 4 years. Only 5.7% have ever spent more than $1,000 on a suit. A typical millionaire's last haircut, including tip, costs just $16. Nearly 40% of them drink everyday red wine that costs about $10 a bottle. In your neighborhood, the person most likely to be a millionaire is definitely not the one who catches your eye first at a dinner party. He wears a $22 Costco polo shirt, drives a Camry, orders the cheapest wine, and even asks everyone if they want to split the appetizers. But the money in his bank account is more than the total of everyone at his table, plus the 3 tables next to him. A Ramsey Solutions survey of 10,000 verified millionaires found that 79% did not inherit their wealth. 1/3 never earned a 6-figure salary in any year of their career. What's truly shocking is that 86% of luxury cars in the US are purchased by non-millionaires. 86%. Those shiny pickup trucks and the latest German sedans are, for the most part, not driven by the wealthy, but by ordinary people who spend money to look rich. This strategy of spending money to feel like a rich person mathematically eliminates any chance you have of becoming truly wealthy. Take a look at the top of the pyramid. Warren Buffett lives in an old house in Omaha he bought for $31,500 in 1958, spends no more than $3.17 on breakfast each day, and has a license plate that reads, Thrifty. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same gray t-shirt every day. Jeff Bezos drove a Honda Accord long after he became a billionaire. It's not that they can't afford better. It's that they stopped putting on a show of wealth long ago and have even forgotten that society expects them to put on such a tedious performance. Why can't you resist buying a new car? Cornell University conducted a rather unscrupulous experiment. They had students walk into a room wearing t-shirts printed with an embarrassing photo of their face, then asked them how many people they thought had noticed. On average, the students guessed 50%, while the actual figure was only 25%. People consistently overestimate the attention they receive from others by a full 2-fold. This is known as the spotlight effect. You think you're performing for a huge audience, but in reality, the audience is more than half the size you imagine. And the remaining half is too busy performing under their own spotlight to care what kind of car you drive. A 2010 study in the Journal of Marketing found that truly wealthy people tend to choose extremely subtle status symbols that only other wealthy insiders can recognize. Meanwhile, those huge, flashy logos and over-the-top pickup trucks statistically all belong to people trying to social climb, those desperate to prove themselves to a circle they haven't yet broken into. It's a cruel game where the finish line keeps moving further away, yet the monthly payments must be made on time. And luxury car salespeople warn you, when you grit your teeth and buy a $55,000 pickup truck, it feels unbeatable for the first 3 weeks. But a few months later, it's just a debt collecting machine that drives you to and from work every day and costs you $867 a month. Behavioral economist Dan Ariely found that the pleasure derived from status-driven consumption peaks at the moment of purchase, then rapidly declines within weeks as the brain adapts. This is called hedonic adaptation. You upgrade, you adapt, and then you must borrow money again to upgrade just to feel that dopamine rush once more. Status-driven consumption is essentially an emotional service that you can never truly own, yet must pay for on a monthly subscription basis. This is the core pain point that most personal finance channels dare not touch. Stopping conspicuous consumption doesn't feel like a financial decision. It feels like dismantling the persona of who you are. When Marcus imagines trading in his pickup truck for a used Camry, his brain doesn't T-calculate the $757 monthly savings. Instead, it screams, "Will this make me look like a loser? What will my colleagues think? What will my date think?" The carefully cultivated image of "I'm a success" would crumble instantly. This fear is all too real. Consumer psychologists confirm that we integrate possessions into our self-perception. That car, that apartment, the labels on your clothes, they're all part of the story you tell the world about who you are. Giving up the pickup truck feels like rewriting the script of your life, like admitting you're a loser. But research also shows that once the initial pain subsides, a miracle happens. It's the same hedonic adaptation, the phenomenon that makes a pickup truck seem ordinary after 3 weeks, that will make a used Camry feel perfectly natural after 3 weeks. Once you get past the initial psychological discomfort, nearly everyone who makes this transition reports that the suffocating weight of long-term financial pressure disappears. The relief of being debt-free is 1,000,000 times better than the thrill of any new pickup truck. As for the social consequences, dawn to forget. Only 25% of people will notice that awkward shirt. If someone actually judges you for driving a used car, they are 100% the real-life Marcus. Such people are absolutely unqualified to be advisors on your financial decisions. So, what does true wealth actually look like? It's an ordinary Tuesday morning. You wake up, brew some coffee, and sit quietly by the window. You realize you don't have to rush anywhere today. It's not a vacation, nor a project bonus. It's simply because today is Tuesday, and this Tuesday belongs 100% to you. This is what Tyler actually buys with the $2,390 he saves each month. That money hasn't turned into a sports car yet, but it's sitting in a Vanguard account, hidden in the shadows where no one can see it, working tirelessly for you through the cold logic of compound interest while you sleep. Academic consensus. The greatest benefit money provides comes almost entirely from autonomy. The freedom to control your time, make choices, and pursue goals without having to ask anyone's permission. Harvard Business School research has found that truly wealthy people spend a significant amount of time on active leisure and drastically reduce the time spent on things they feel obligated to do. The ultimate luxury they enjoy isn't a sports car, but the absence of obligations. This luxury can never be bought through conspicuous consumption. Every time you spend to maintain your status, you're voting for the cage you're currently in. Every car loan and every installment on a handbag ensures that next month, you'll have to stay put at that desk you hate. Because you can't afford the risk of losing your income, you need that paycheck to pay off your debts. And those debts are nothing more than the cost of putting on a show that no one is watching. If you're currently burdened by a heavy car loan, paying the minimum monthly payment, and feeling hopeless as you watch your savings stagnate, listen carefully. You weren't born unable to manage money, you aren't frivolous, nor have you failed in the adult world. You're simply running a set of social survival software that this economic system has forcibly installed in your brain. And this system is raking in massive profits every month because you're running it. Car dealers, credit card companies raking in 21% interest, and algorithms constantly pushing their vision of what success should look like. If you suddenly woke up today and said, "I'm not playing this game anymore," they wouldn't make a single penny. Only when you obediently stay trapped in this consumer death loop can they keep counting their money. Realizing this death loop exists is the most crucial step toward winning the game. The moment that truly changes your life isn't the second you sign the contract for a used Camry, nor is it the second you cancel your gym membership. Those are just details of action. The moment that truly changes your destiny is when you stare at that shiny new car or expensive handbag and suddenly realize, with crystal clear clarity, I don't actually want the car itself. What I want is the way I imagine others will perceive me because of it. Since those people aren't even looking at me, since half the audience I've imagined in my head never existed in the first place, what on earth am I doing? Spending $867 a month to rent out a theater and put on a show for an audience that doesn't exist? Tyler is boring. He's completely invisible in a crowd. He drives a Camry, drinks the most ordinary red wine, lives in an ordinary apartment. No one gives him a second glance. But on the day he turns 44, Tyler will wake up on a Tuesday morning and go nowhere. Not because he can't afford to go, but because he doesn't have to. Because his original $187,000 has turned into $843,000. Enough. F you money. The way he reached this goal was the least dramatic, most mundane way you can imagine, simply by refusing to perform for people who didn't care about him in the first place. This is what $5.4 million looks like before it actually arrives. It looks dull and ordinary, like a 5-year-old Camry parked in an inconspicuous corner. But it's racing toward total freedom, completely undisturbed by the outside world, driven by the irresistible laws of mathematics. If you're ready to become Tyler, take back control of your life, and make money work for you, write down your first step in your mind right now.